Hello, everybody. I'm Vince Marino with Empowering Pumps and Equipment, and welcome to my Lunch and Learn with Vince. Today, I have a couple of great guests from AW Chesterton, a 140-year-old company. I got to know these guys a little bit last week. Actually, I've talked to several of the people that work there. Everybody I know that I've met so far is intelligent and engaging and really has a passion for their products. I'm going to toss it to Bob Martin first. Bob, tell us a little bit about yourself. Then I'm going to toss it to Matt.
Okay, I've Bob Martin, and I've been with Chesterton for 38 years. I've had multiple different jobs over the past 38 years, but one passion I've always had was marine, and now I'm handling the global industry marine side of things. So it's going to be exciting to do this lunch and learn and discuss a little of our market segments in marine.
Matt?
All right, and again, I'm Matt Terry. I'm the North American Business Development Manager for Chesterton. I've been with the company just about 7 months. I've spent almost my adult career in the marine industry. I've been in it for about 20 years. And previous to Chesterton, I worked for an end user of Chesterton products. And again, I liked the product so well. I think they performed so well, I started working for the company.
Excellent. Well, tell us a little bit about marine. As far as barges, barges can haul all kinds of materials. So maybe you might want to show us a couple of examples of what are the things that you haul that they.
Yeah, so a couple things. So just let me split up things a little bit. Just so there's two different sides of the marine industry. On inland, there's liquid side and there's dry side. We're going to mostly focus on liquid side. There are a few products that we offer that will go into the dry side. In dry side, when I say that, I mean like corn, coal, things that are dry, they'll fit into just like a big space inside of a barge. On the liquid side, they're basically tank barges of two sizes. There's a 10,000 barrel size and a 30,000 barrel size. But if you allow me to, I'm gonna click on something to kind of show some of the different commodities and things that we move on. But yeah. So I'm going to share my screen here and just give a quick overview of. Again, I'm not going to go into any detail of them, and let me know when I'm sharing.
And by the way, Bob, if you have anything to share on your screen, feel free to as well. Okay, so I'm looking at common products moved on the waterways. A lot of this looks like it's a petrochemical type.
Yeah, it's mostly petrochemicals. Again, we'll move the crude oil. We'll move that too, and then it'll basically get moved to Houston or other areas where they have refineries, and they get turned into some of these other type products, these petrochemicals, where it's methanol, ethanol, naphtha, some of the ones in there in the middle column. But basically, any type of commodity that can be moved that's a liquid is moved on the inland river industry through a tank barge.
Excellent.
And what we bring to this barge industry is sealing the applications and considering keeping it at low emissions. So we have a low emission sealing solution for all these type of liquids, such petrochemicals such as methanol, ethanol, and that. So again, Chesterton started in the refinery business, sealing the same type of products, and now we're moving into the marine side of things on these barges to make sure they have sealing equipment that offers low emissions to the end users.
Right. So, Matt, if you could come back to me, I want to start something on this end. I want to kind of, for myself, I'm kind of dumbing this down a little bit because not everybody fully understands where we're going with this. But when a barge takes liquid to and from one place to another, you have to onboard it and offboard it using pumps. And oftentimes my understanding is pumps or other related equipment can create leakage around the seals. Am I kind of fleshing it out better? And AW Chesterton.
You're doing very good, Vince. Very good.
Right. So what AW Chesterton does, they provide the sealing solutions for the equipment. So you're correct. So the barge has to be loaded and has to be offloaded. it's typically really loaded from pumping from, it comes from the shore side. And that really all the barge does on the loading end of it is just receive the product, but it still has to remain sealed because you have a valve flanging and other types of things like that that's static, that doesn't move, but still needs to be sealed. And Chesterton does provide products that keep the emissions low and seal those types of things. But it's really on the discharge side is when most of the things come into play, because that is when the vertical turbine pump is used. And that's when you're really building the pressure in the pipelines and things. And then you could have, catastrophic failures of some of the different equipment, and could cause leaks and emissions and things like that.
And
All right,
it's very costly to those barges if they have a leakage into the depth, right?
Well, the whole purpose is it's reliability. So at the end of the day, the products that we make, whenever a barge or a piece of equipment hits the dock discharge, we want to ensure that whatever is being moved in that barge stays in the places that it's supposed to be. Again, that's why we create the mechanical seals and we create the valve packing and the flange gaskets and things like that we do, because we don't want any liquid commodity hitting the deck, which is called a release or a spill, which is reportable to the Coast Guard. But we go a step above and beyond that, where we're not just trying to stop that, which I think we do an excellent job of it. We also do a good job of just reducing and eliminating emissions as well. Just the vapors basically that could come out of the different commodities.
All right, so hopefully you're seeing right now the screenshot with your names on it. And there's Mr. Chesterton, who is president and CEO. Must be awfully proud of a company that's been around for this long.
Well, that's
I also worked for his father, Jim Chesterton.
Yeah, amazing.
And just to note too, it's a family-owned company, and the company was started by AW Chesterton, and his direct relative is still the CEO of the company. So I think that says something about a company that's been around for 140 years.
Absolutely. Yep.
So,
go ahead, please.
Yeah, just on this slide here, and that's why what I think that Bob and I are so committed to the marine industry side of it. AW Chesterton actually started on the Boston waterfront as a company that provided hacking and things to steamboats, and so it really started out as a maritime company. So Bob and I are trying to push to get back to those types of roots and really have a lot of offerings and things available to the marine industry.
And again, AW Chesterton is still in that Boston area. The headquarters is in Groveland, Mass, about 40 minutes from Boston.
I got that. And you service places all over?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're a global company. So if you go back to that one slide there real quick, this will highlight a couple things that are on there.
Yeah, sure.
For a family-sized company, we're a pretty good size. We've got about 1,200 employees. We have employees in 32 different countries, and we have sales in 113 countries. So we're a true global company. And then this picture here is of our headquarters there in Groveland, Massachusetts. Yeah.
Great looking company. This just puts it in perspective.
Exactly. The global solutions, local service. That's what we represent.
So here's a couple of this looks like a couple of examples of some product. I'm looking at the split seal technology. Can you tell me a little about what would cause somebody to want to use a split seal? And I'm going to come back to us for a second, because I think I want to get a clear understanding on that.
Sure. Bob, you want to take that one? You want me to go?
No, I can do that. I mean, the split seal the Chesterton is known for that technology, and it's for pumps that have a seal already on it or packing, and it's leaking, and they want to put a split seal on, because if it does start leaking at some point, that split seal can be taken off without disassembling the pumps, and it's tens of thousands of dollars to dry dock and put a new cartridge seal, not a non-split seal on. So That's one of the main reasons. You want to add something, Matt?
Well, I mean, just kind of feed off of what you're saying there. Basically, what the split seal would do, it saves time and money. Instead of having to, to basically stop for a long period of time and disassemble equipment to be able to install another seal, the split seal does exactly what it says. It splits in half and splits around the pump shaft and then gets you back going quicker.
Gotcha. All right, let's go back to that. That's a beautiful depiction of some of the products you have here.
And really what this is some of the latest innovations and things that Chesterton has came up with. This by no means is all the things that we offer. These are just some of the things that we've come up with that we think that is innovative and is helping drive the market.
Yeah, I think the next slide kind of gives you an overview of what we offer.
Yeah.
And as you can see, the rotating equipment, mechanical seals, that includes the split seal, and then we have the pump packings that we use. And along with that, we have bearing gearbox protection like EPS seals, polymer seals, and we have environmental controls that offer lower emissions, setting it up the right way. And then we get, the static sealing, again, back to the static seal valve packings and all that, flange gaskets, live loads. We offer the, as I said, the hydraulic seals, pneumatic seals, and then going into the lubricants and chemicals and that. And we have the industrial lubricants, cleaners, metalwork and fluids, along with the coatings. The coatings are very big promoter of coatings in the marine industry because it's very corrosive, and we can protect the pumps and the outer surfaces of the decks on the barges and that. So we have a good offering right now.
Well, there's a picture of a barge, for example, inland and coastal barges. That's incredible amount of volume on that.
So these are 10,000 barrel barges. These are actually the smaller ones. Again, the two different sizes are 30,000 barrel and 10,000 barrel. On the 10,000 barrel, these will generally have 3 tanks on them, and then the 6,000 or 30,000 barrels will have 6 tanks. So yes, we can move quite a bit of liquid.
So yeah, this is a revealing pie chart here. Something I had no idea was going to shake out this way, but 60% of the source of emissions and leakages are from valves, 10% from pumps, 5% from flanges, 15% from relief valves, and 10% from the tank itself. Interesting.
Well, all of those have some type of opening that needs to be sealed. So again, the things that we provide to seal those help with the emissions and all that.
Got it.
And this slide, that could go back to the next slide so we can give you a little overview. Yeah, that emission and spill-free program that we have, as you said, the barge initiatives. We're going to be going over the vertical pumps, as you said, with our Chesterton 180 mechanical seal, barge seal. And as Matt had been saying, you have a lot of gate valves on there and pneumatic valves that need to be sealed properly. And we have the right products to offer to do that. And you'll see a couple of nice slides on that. And then hatch covers, we have a Chesterton lid lock gasket that we offer.
Well, there's your vertical turbine pump.
Here you go, Matt.
And I thought it was important to put that on there just to show the sheer size. Some of these are 11 or 12 feet high, and there are 2 or 3 stages. Stages are going to be those lump things in the middle there on the black part. That part's actually inside of a can. You can't see it when you're looking at it from the barge. All you see is the white part that's on top of it. And the mechanical seal goes at the top in that opening that you can see, probably about halfway through the white part, a little bit higher.
Okay, up in here.
Yeah, the mechanical seal is inside of there. Basically, it's for ease of access, and you can see it.
There we go.
So this is the close-up view of that same area. So as you can see on the left-hand side, you have the mechanical seal, which is directly faced up to the pump. And then on top of that, you have an outer bearing, which just helps keep the shaft steady when it's spinning. And then you have you see the braided pipe that's into it. And basically a mechanical seal, the way that they're designed so that the liquid that you're moving runs across the two sealing faces of the mechanical seal. You have one that spins and one that's stationary. And as one spins, you got to have something that goes in between there to keep it lubricated and cooled down, basically. And what that line there does is help draw the liquid through, and then puts it back into the pump can, so that way there's a constant flow of liquid through the pump faces. And the picture on the right, that's what that shows. Basically, if you see on the bottom where it says pump suction,
Right.
this is not a vertical pump, but the process is the same. So as the pump is turning, it draws product through, and then if you go a little bit higher, right, a little higher, that's the mechanical seal that's right there. So what happens is the mechanical seal or the pump is turning, it draws fluid through the mechanical seal. It goes through that line right there because it draws suction from the pump can. So it's constantly providing a flow of liquid product, commodity, whatever you'll call it, through to keep the faces cool and lubricated. And then what the other little yellow thing you see there, that's something we may talk about more in a few minutes. That's actually a Chesterton Connect. And what that does is that allows us to monitor both the temperature of the fluid, vibration, and again, it's a very good tool to be able to go through and analyze, what issues you may have had with the mechanical seal or with the pump in general.
Yeah, in fact, if I could, I'm just going to go back to that because I actually spotted that right here. That's it, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
So we have an intrinsically safe one that you can use on the barge pumps. That's the one with the little red at the bottom there. And again, it's very good for detecting vibration, and it's web based. You can either access the information Bluetooth if you have something like on your phone through an Apple phone or an Android phone. You can download an app, which you get close to within range to it. It'll give you the information. But basically, what it does, it stores information. I think it's every 30 seconds. It pulls information and stores it for 30 days, and then you can access it from your phone, or if you have multiple of these connects, you can get what's called the gateway, and the gateway will pull all the information off all the connects and put it onto the web, and you can access it from anywhere. So basically, I can sit here at the house or the office, and from my phone or from the gateway, monitor pumps no matter where they're at. So I think it's a very good product and a very good solution for understanding what's going on with your pumps.
That
And again,
is
one of the
amazing.
big features of it is, for these barge pumps is the barge are discharging these tanks, and when they get pretty much down to empty, they're going to start running the seal dry if there's no fluid coming through it. So there's an alarm on that Chesterton Connect that gives the operator a chance to see that he's running pretty much dry down there, and he can do what he needs to do. Stop pumping.
Right.
Well, and I think that's important to note too. We're just talking about the inland marine industry in general. Pumps and mechanical seals, they're basically designed to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, just run constantly. And on the marine side, like we touched on this a little bit earlier, the pump is only used during the discharge. So there's a long period between whenever it's used and not used. And the commodities or liquids that are being moved, they're not owned necessarily by the carrier that's moving them. So whoever owns that liquid, they want all of it. So you are going to discharge every single drop that you can. And then when you do that, you run through the opportunity of running the mechanical seal dry and causing a lot of vibration, heat, and things like that, which at the end of the day could damage mechanical seal.
But all of us here remember when we didn't even have so much as a cell phone. So this kind of technology, that's pretty stunning that you guys have evolved 140 years and have evolved into having wireless communication. The equipment itself. That's very cool. I'm going to go back to that screen again and move on to the next one. Maybe you guys can walk me through this one here. That's just a graph, but what am I looking at here with this graph?
This is just showing that and this is, I think this makes a good statement about our 180 barge seal, because basically it meets API 682 standards for emissions, which I think are 100,000. If you look, I mean, we're well below that. We're in probably the 60 to 80,000 parts per million range. So this steel that we provide to the marine industry meets API expectations for emissions, and actually well below it.
Excellent.
So, and what that it just that's something that's really looked on now, is not just keeping the liquid where it's supposed to be, but also just errant emissions, and that's why we have some of the products that we have for the valves and for the pumps.
So we're looking at a cutaway here of the mechanical seal. I had no idea there was so much intricacy to what comprises a mechanical seal. I'm looking at a lot of different parts here.
Absolutely. Again, these are precision pieces of equipment. I mean, that's one of the things that I want to state. They're highly engineered. I mean, there's decades and decades of experience that especially this model here, that have gone into the development of this. So as you can see on this one here, there's a rotating part in the stationary part of this. The black and gray, I think it's the 4 and the 4 and the 5. Those are the two faces right there. One of those is stationary and one of those moves. The bottom one moves and the top one is stationary. So when I was talking earlier about the seal interface there, those two interfaces have to be lubricated, because if not, it causes excessive heat, and that's where the fluid's drawn through there.
Right.
One of the, I guess, the key benefits of our technology is both of those faces they're called monolithic, meaning of one. A lot of other seals, they'll have their seal faces are actually have like a metal ring that the face sits into. What happens is, regardless of whether or not you're getting proper lubrication or not, you're still going to heat up some when two things rub together. In a monolithic seal faces, you have that one material. So when it heats up and cools down, it does it at the same rate. If you have one that's inside of a metal ring or a metal holder, they're going to heat up and cool down at different levels. And then what that causes, it causes stress on the faces and causes them to freeze really quick.
Right. Right.
I think that's one of the things that in our design that helps them last longer and makes them more reliable. The other part of it too is something has to push those two faces together to keep them together, and those are springs. On many models that are in the marine industry, that spring is this one large spring, and it's in the rotating side of the mechanical seal. Ours are actually smaller springs, and they're on the stationary side, so they don't move. And why that's important is because if you think of a piece of wire, you take a piece of wire and you bend it over and over and over again, it becomes weak and eventually breaks. On our mechanical seal, the springs move one time whenever the mechanical seal is installed, just a one-time adjustment, so that way the faces are pushed together. Then after that, they don't move. All they do is do constant pressure on the two faces. On other designs, that spring again is on the rotating side of the mechanical seal. It is constantly moving. If there's any type of shaft deflection or anything like that, where the shaft is not spinning exactly the way it should, then it's going to wear out, basically.
And those single springs are inside the petrochemicals, the chemicals and the fluids, so it's not a very good system.
Right, and that too. So that spring sets in the fluid that's being moved. So if you're moving something that's polymerizing or something that can just clog up, I mean, the spring is setting in that.
Got it.
Springs are
That's a very good point, Bob.
So we're going into the valve packing side of things. What you're seeing here is actually pictures that I actually took years ago on one of my first times boarding one of the barges that had just was coming out of dry dock. And when I went on to that first discharge, I went over and looked at some of the valves, and they were actually, as you can see, leaking from the first discharge, and I couldn't believe it. We were able to finally ask them to take, the gland apart, on that valve, and then we took the packing out, and that packing that we saw, the right side, that was actually OEM valve packing, very low price packing, which is nice for OEMs to put in, but the product was an expanded PTFE, and PTFE only goes to 600 degrees at the most. And when we were tightening down when they were tightened down on these valves, they were extruding the packing between the spaces, as you can see looking at the packing. And by extruding out, they were losing volume if you look at that gland, you're losing volume in the stuffing box, and then that stuffing box is getting loose, and then you have a leaker. And now that barge is going to get fined for that.
Yeah, I would, if we could drill down on that for a second, tell me, what is the ramification? I mean, I'm looking at a leak. What happens? I mean, again, I'm not in your world, so I'm asking these questions. What happens?
Well, one, it costs a lot of money. That's first and foremost.
That's actually Matt's world for years.
Yeah, so it's actually my world that I operated in before. So again, we're all the way down. We're trying to eliminate just emissions, just the vapors that are coming out.
Right.
But if there is an actual liquid leak, according to how much it is, it's reportable to the Coast Guard, and you have to track that. So at some point in time, you possibly could be fined if you're found negligent. But a lot of times the different customers, they're actually more stringent than the regulatory bodies. So if a barge goes to a customer's dock and there's any kind of liquid leak, they immediately shut it down, and they want that repaired before the barge can continue to discharge. And that becomes very costly. And you have to do root cause corrective actions to try to figure out, why that happened and come up with solutions of how that's never going to happen again. So again, it's very costly from the transportation side, and I'm sure it's costly from the facility side as well. They want to absolutely reduce and eliminate any kind of leaks. And as far as emissions go, I mean, there are some docks where they have cameras that can actually detect the emissions. When a barge comes in, and then if they detect any type of emissions, then they will not let that piece of equipment go to their dock to discharge.
Aren't there helicopters at times monitoring?
There are helicopters and planes, yeah, that they'll use as well. So the EPA will use that more than the facilities will, but the EPA's monitor it, but also the facilities will as well.
So let's take a closer look. Sorry, let's take a closer look at the packing itself. I'm looking at a kind of a cutaway of this type of material here. Can you talk?
I was actually the engineering manager for Chesterton when we came out with this product, and it was a product that we wanted to have as a 5-ring set that could handle no extrusion from the space that we saw on those OEM valve packings, and we wanted it reinforced with some in-canal wire, which we tested it, and it wouldn't hurt your stems going up and down thousands of cycles. And from that packing system, we did quite a bit of low emission packing testing on 5 rings. If the stuffing box in a valve had to take more than 5 rings, we would put a carbon bushing in the bottom, because the first 5 rings are doing all the sealing. The bottom, if you do more rings than 5, then they're losing, they're going to lose volume, and you could lose the torque that you put on. So this is one of the leading products out there right now. And you didn't have to and it was off a spool. You didn't have to just ask for die form rings or cut rings from a packing company. You could just buy the spools and put it in yourselves. So that's, and again, this is the
That's a good
packing.
picture, Lee.
The packing is great, but think about it as we've been talking about the gland. You need to continue to have force that is enough to seal the product in. And when you start opening, closing these valves and you have thermal expansion and contractions, the valve packing inside is wearing down and the gland is loosening up. So instead of that, we put live load, we call them, springs on. And those springs, as you can see, is packaged left top of the springs we send out. And you can see that washer, and they're put on the valve gland, and then they're compressed down where that washer is going to be flat. As you can see from the diagrams, the top of the flat washer is flush with the top of the outer guides. So that's the energy that you have now stored on that gland to compensate for any thermal expansion, contractions, and wear of the packing. So that's about.
And it keeps constant pressure on there. You don't have to adjust it. I don't know if you remember the same valve that was on there before that it had the live loads on there. As you see, it adds a little bit of length for the bolts that got to be put on there. But again, what it does, it keeps constant and steady pressure, so you don't have to constantly adjust those back and forth like Bob was talking about whenever you have expansion and contraction. And I can attest how well those use. We used these in my previous job, and we went from having probably 30 to 40 releases or spills a year from the valves to zero when we started utilizing these. So these definitely work, and they do a good job of preventing any kind of release and spill. So this is earlier we were talking about that. And it sounds like let's say there's some confusion, but how does a tank top leak? Well, right here's how a tank top leaks. They have to be able to wash it, and they have to be able to gauge the amount of liquid that's in there from the hatches. So we offer a product called Lid Lock that'll go inside and replace. You can't really see it in there, but if it fits in this groove that's on the left hand side where the person is pointing to,
Right.
it fits into the groove. It fits into the groove there. Direct replacement. Again, we have sizes for every hatch that goes on top of a tank barge. But if you see on the right hand side, that's actually the old gasket that comes from the OEM manufacturer, and it's just I don't want to call it a one-time use, but they don't last very long or still very good. They're really hard. Ours has I'll say PFE, but it's a Teflon outer coating, and then inside there's a rubber piece that gives it some elasticity, so that way you can close it.
And the polyurethane that's inside wrapped around with the PTFE gives you some resilience too. And it
so that way when you close the hatch, that it can give you good sealing. So this is actually lid lock inside of a hatch. So not only do you need to be able to wash it, you need to be able to access it too. So there where you can't see down inside of this, there's a ladder to be able to get up and down inside of there. So that's what this is. This is an 18 by 24 hatch.
In part of this presentation, you'd go down to the Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard success story. And that's where we initially went in 6 years ago, cold called the engineers in Norfolk, Virginia, at the U.S. Coast Guard logistics base. And we introduced our split seal and inflatable safety seal. And it was the best cold call I've ever had. They said, "This is what we've been looking for."
Wow.
We were having a real problem with our propulsion shafts on these 87-foot cutters. And from there, we got one on tested. Now we're up to $1 million on all these vessels are sealed with the Chesterton ISS in the split seal outside. You can see the bladder on this is the de-energized at this point. In the next slide, you probably see it energizing. And then it's energized, and now you're sealing. So think about it, you're out in the waterways and that seal for some reason leaks. You can't get dry docked. So you just inflate, put a bike hose on that inflatable safety seal, pump it up, take your seal that's leaking off and put a new seal on, or a get home device like packing and that, if they don't have an expert to put the split seal on. They get to dock, and then one of our service engineers will come in and put the mechanical seal on if they just put packing in. So that was
Yes.
one heck of a success story. And this is us doing the installations in the in the bilge.
Nice.
And that's another discussion all along. But those two slides are, what you're asking for. What have you
Yeah.
done just walking into a customer, introducing one of your solutions, and bang, we got $1 million.
That's amazing.
Well, but on top of that, we provided a solution for a customer that was having an issue. It was just fate or whatever that allowed us to make that call, and just at the same moment that they were having an issue with something, and we absolutely provided a solution that's been long term. How long ago was that, Bob? You said 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah. So I mean, it's we're continuing to install these today.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, are there
Is
any
that-
other? Go ahead, guys. Please.
No, were you going to put that on the video later? Or no?
What? All right. So Matt, Bob, so we were kind of talking a little bit about that issue that the U.S. Coast Guard encountered, and then I think you wanted to address some other things. So please continue.
Well, I know we talked a little bit about the 442 split seal and our inflatable safety seal, and I just have a good diagram that really shows it and depicts it really well, and I'd like to present that if I can a little bit.
Sure.
I'll let Bob talk to it, but I just want to bring it up and show it. Let me know when you can see the screen well.
Yeah, I see it. It's very nice.
Okay.
Take it away, Bob.
Well, this picture is not on a Coast Guard vessel. We took this on a U.S. Navy LCU landing craft unit vessel. It's about a little bigger than the Coast Guard boats, but this gives you a nice picture of what we're doing with the inflatable seal. As I mentioned at the Coast Guard, if you have a leaker out there, you can't dry dock. So you got a bike pump on the right, and you put it you gauge it into the bladder, which is almost like a bike bladder, and then you pump it up to about 16 psi. You check it out, and you have no leakage coming in, and then you take that seal off. The mechanical seal on the left, since no one was able to put a new seal on. They just had a package or a set of packing on the vessel with packing. And what they did was they took the seal off, and then you see that the gland, the bronze gland on the right side.
Right here.
That's a gland that's pushing the packing to seal. So we call it a get home device. So you got packing in there right now, and then you deflate the bladder. You don't want to rotate that shaft with the bladder inflated, or you'll burn it up. So you deflate it and make sure it's deflated, and you make sure nothing's leaking through the packing, and you're on your way back home to get a new seal put on.
All right, that's interesting. So that little bike pump is a key component to this.
Yeah, some of these vessels will have their own, air piping, but I think that I like them to carry a bike pump. It's a lot simpler.
I like that.
You're not over, and you can control it. You only need about 16 psi on the gauge.
Fascinating. So that's your. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Matt. Please continue.
No, it's just something that we offer that I again, like this is on a naval vessel, and we use it for our Coast Guard as well. But this is something that that I think is generally relatable to you know, what we do in the inland marine industry. I mean, we've talked a lot about barges, but we really haven't discussed the boats that push the
Good
barges.
point.
You know, a barge doesn't push itself; it has to have a boat behind it to push it. And the boats have shafts, which this would actually work quite well on those boats.
Got it.
That's a real good point. I'd like to see those vessels using this system, but a lot of times they just right now using the packing as a seal.
And I just think that it's good that you can change it. You can inflate the inflatable safety seal, and the mechanical seal that's on here on the left hand side picture, that's a split seal. So I mean, you can change it in place. I mean, if if someone has the ability to change it on the boat, then they can install this themselves or call out a maintenance person or an engineer or whatever, as Bob was saying, to install it there without having to go to a dry dock or to a facility. It can be changed en route or changed in place, and then the inflatable safety seal can be deflated, and you can move on.
So let
The
me-
thing is, you
So-
need a reliable bladder, and I think Matt had shared with me that he had talked to some customers on these vessels that was using somewhat of a inflatable safety seal, but they weren't getting the success because they
Right.
pump it up and it would still leak. Is that what you?
Yeah,
was a-
and you know, and some of the end use customers I've spoken with, they were using another brand, and then it just wasn't quite working the way that they were wanting it to. But then when they changed to the Chesterton brand ISS, then those issues went away. I think that was very similar to what was going on with your cold call. They were using another product,
Yep.
and then having issues, and then we made contact with the Coast Guard, and they started using our inflatable safety seal in conjunction with our 442 seal, split seal, and then they're still using it because it worked very well.
Okay, so you just answered my question, I think. So if I'm going to put the 442 split seal on as as part of my equipment, I then buy the ISS, the inflatable safety seal, to kind of go with it. So it's a package deal.
Oh, yeah.
Then if
Package
the
deal.
so I don't, it's not like a spare tire that I pull it out and put it on if there's an issue. It's riding along. And then when
It's riding along. Yep.
okay, well that's
Let me see
fascinating.
my phone number. So again, this is just a blow up of it, cartoonish without it, the actual. So this larger piece here is the actual inflatable safety seal.
Yeah.
Mechanical seal right here. So this is just there in case the mechanical seal fails. If it does, then you would use this, so that way you don't have to take it to dry dock. If you don't have something like that in place, you either have to employ divers to come out to pack the backside to keep it from leaking, or take it to dry dock and get it repaired. But with this system in place, you don't have to do all that. Saves a lot of time and money.
Very cool and fascinating. Hey, let me ask you a couple of questions. First of all, how do people get in touch with you if somebody's new to this whole thing like I am, and they say, wow, I'm fascinated. That right there, I just learned a ton. But how do they get in touch with you, and where are you going to be demonstrating this or talking about it?
So, I mean, Bob and I are both going to the IMX show, which is going to be May 29th through the 31st in Nashville. We're going to be in booth 1034 while we're there. We're also going to have some other Chesterton members there with us as well, and we're going to present our 442 split seal. We're going to have our 1A barge seal, which we've had a lot of success with, and our Chesterton lid lock. So again, we're gonna have
in a live loads.
and the live load. So we're gonna have our complete offerings of what we supply to the inland marine industry. But on top of that, we're also going to have one of our technical experts there for the Chesterton Connect.
That is good.
So if anyone has any questions about that system and how it works, we will have someone there to be able to go in depth with that. And then we'll also have something.
For clarification purposes, the Chesterton Connect was the yellow.
The
me one
monitor.
second. I've
the
got an
monitor-
example.
All right, he's going to go get an example. I'm going to grab a sip of water while we're doing this. This
Okay,
is
that's
fun,
good.
Bob. Thank
Yeah,
you
it
for thanks for doing this with me, Bob. I'm having a good time of learning.
You do a nice
So-
job.
So
navigating through everything.
just for size, this is how big it is.
Beautiful.
Right. A completely self-contained piece. It has a battery inside of it. The battery's out of it right now, but the battery can be changed by anybody. It just screws on. Again, we have an intrinsically safe model. Basically, one end screws into this, and the other end screws into the port or the mechanical seal. And it's got a magnet on the bottom. We also have a base that can be either welded to or mounted some way or another to the side of the pump and just sets on it. And again, vibration, pressure, it monitors all that, puts it into the cloud so you can get a report and see what your pump's doing.
Man, I'm glad you found an example of that, Matt.
Yeah, that
Thank
was
you.
good.
That was a good call. Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys. I hope we can do this again, and let's do that. Let's plan on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to wrap things up, but I just want to again thank you both. And they'll be what was the number of that booth at IMX?
Again, yeah, we're at booth 1034.
1034. Well, anybody
Should they have
interested needs.
Should we do our email address or text phone? I can offer a text.
Yeah,
phone.
please. Best way to get in touch with you is email.
Email with bob.martin@chesterton.com.
Perfect.
Or if you
Matt,
just want to call, text me at 781-640-0470.
Matt, what about you?
Well, for me, give me a second here. I'll even make it easier for everybody.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
He's getting high tech on us here.
I know.
Oh, that's
Look
good.
at that.
So, of course, if you want to get a hold of me, again, my name's Matt Terry. I'm the manager of North American Market Development for Marine. And then my phone number is 502-592-0721. And again, my other contact information is on there, but it also has the little barcode thing there. If you scan that, that'll give you my information right on your phone. So that's how you get a hold of me.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, I want to
And then,
thank you.
and then also too, just real quick, if you go to this Chesterton.com, I mean, you can get a lot of information. We've only just touched on a little bit of what Chesterton does. So if you go onto that website, you can get quite a bit of the information of the other things that Chesterton does as well.
And we're spending a lot of time on updating our website.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because when I was in the process of getting set up for our recording, I was actually looking at your website, and I mean, look at
So,
that.
yeah, we didn't even touch on the ARC stuff, which that's something that I like a lot and think there's a lot of useful applications for. We have some very, very good coatings and coating systems for both concrete and for steel that we offer. So again, we didn't touch on that. And again, we were trying to keep this within an hour. Again, Bob and I are both passionate about all this stuff. We could talk for hours.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this.
next lunch and learn, we better have some poly coatings in there.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna ask you. This is the lightning round before we hang it up. What do you guys like to do for fun when you're not selling AW Chesterton products? What do you guys do for fun? Matt, you go first.
Well, I like to travel quite a bit, even though I travel a lot for work because my area is the whole continental U.S. I travel, a few weeks of every month, but I still travel personally, like going to Montana next month. Love going to the beach. We go to the Outer Banks in North Carolina at least once or twice a year with the whole family, sometimes up to 20 people. So it's usually a pretty large endeavor whenever we do that. But mostly I'd say I'm a family person, and if I'm not traveling, I'm spending time with my family. We have a pretty good sized house, and we have all the kids over, the grandkids over, and just spending time with family and friends. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I do, and the one thing that I enjoy the most.
I'd have to
Bob,
agree. Family and friends. I like having a lot of good times with just in the backyard and the swimming pool and all that. And when I'm traveling, you can see my red face. I was just in Fort Lauderdale. I have a timeshare in Fort Lauderdale that I go down there every year with my sister and brother-in-law and my wife. And we used to go down there with the kids when they were younger, but now they have dogs and they can't move
Yeah.
as much. But yeah, friends and families, good get together, some golf, some racquetball.
You know, I think that is a great way to end this because the Chesterton name has been around for 140 years. Andrew Chesterton is the current CEO of the entire company, still carrying the Chesterton name. And I think that's what this is all about, is family, friends, and just doing the right thing. And you guys are doing it, that's for sure. I want to thank you guys again.